first time ever. It was a blast and a lot of creative talents. I am here this morning talking with an artist, or actually he is an author, Geoffrey, right?
Correct, correct. This
Geoffrey, you have a book out there. How do people find it on Amazon?
pretty easy. It's called "Are We Here to Recreate Ourselves?" And the smaller title is "The Convergence of Designs." And my name's Geoffrey with a G, Geoffrey Simmons, like the mattress, not related. And if you put Geoffrey Simmons in books, you'll see perhaps all 10 of my books.
Oh, wow.
This is my newest.
Is this a series or is this just different self-help books?
It's a series of three. It began with What Darwin Didn't Know, which was arguing science against evolution, or religion against evolution, however you want to view it, but it was dealing with the facts, not religion itself. The second one was Billions of Missing Links, which talked about all the links that are missing. In Darwin's day, there were quite a few, but now there's uncountable links that are missing. And then the third one, which is the newest, it just came out a few months back, actually it has to do with a pattern that I thought I viewed as I was writing, and that had to do with, are we recreating ourselves? And the minute you think about it, it kind of jumps off the page. We're actually on a track to make robots and humanoids not exactly, but very closely like we are. And so I trace this back to all kinds of scientific beginnings. And for instance, not always scientific, but just think about cave drawings proceeding to paintings, to sculptures, to mannequins, to robots, to humanoids, and lightning strikes to the beach, and glass and magnifying glass, telescopes, glasses, microscopes, and onto robotic vision, hearing, putting your hand behind your ear, ear trumpets onto hearing aids and robotic hearing. And even the abacus, going on to slide rule and into a computer, and start putting all these pieces together like a jigsaw puzzle, and you come up with robots and humanoids. And so I say, are we here to recreate ourselves? And I talk about other reasons we might be here, secular and religious. This is not to replace any of those. This is just discussing a pattern that I think I see happening, and it's pretty obvious. And then I talk about why would we do this? And one would have to fall back on space travel for one. And although I'm not a space person, I'm an MD, and I've watched quite a bit of it, it becomes obvious, I don't think, that we're going to be able to take man, given our technology as it is, beyond Mars. Just going to Mars, it's a 3-year trip, roughly, in 6 months each way, roughly. And so, and we know that with the astronauts, even in the International Space Station for a year, there is cosmic ray damage to their brains. We see it on the MRIs. There's light. They can't do heavy work of any sort on the ground when they get here. In fact, in the beginning years, the Soyuz, the guys couldn't walk. They could hardly carry their helmet when they landed down to Earth. So there's something called microgravity, which actually is zero gravity, but there's a little bit of gravity. And these guys are having vision problems, gals too, having visual problems in outer space because fluid doesn't come down to their legs like gravity would pull it. And so they have vision problems, and blood pressure might go up. There's a number of health reasons. And the other thing is, to go to Jupiter, which is the next planet, it's going to be like 5 times further. So can you imagine somebody flying 10 or 15 miles each way? I wouldn't volunteer for that. And then you talk about suspended animation. Who would volunteer for 10 years sleeping on the planet to see if somebody could survive that? So to me, it's just obvious. We're going to need robots to go out outer space and explore, and and do all the things that we would think we would do as people. And so then, should they look like us? And I think it's kind of a strong yes. If you believe in extraterrestrials, for sure. I mean, do we want the extraterrestrials to run into us and think we're caterpillars with a dozen or 2 dozen legs, and we're green and we eat leaves, munching leaves, or we want? So pictures worth 1,000 words.
Those small little green men.
Yeah, small little green men. So we don't want to be thought of as that in outer space. So I think not only that, but we have a pretty good design to be working spacecraft and doing things of that sort with 2 arms and 2 legs. You know, we experiment with 3 legs and 4 legs and all that type. And 4 legs help with carrying loads and things like that with robots. But it seems like the human design is fairly good for this. And so, sorry, my machine blacked out, so I don't know if that carried through to you. But so anyway, our design is good. And then I talk about just our design. And that has to do with my other writings as well. I talk about our design as a human being. And I speak a lot about our DNA, which I consider to be a blueprint. I consider it to be a massive encyclopedia of information. And so this encyclopedia had to be written by something or someone in some way long ago. And it's very, very complicated. It's not like you throw in a few amino acids and throw in something that hooks them up. And so I talk about the complexity upon complexity upon complexity. I talk about the blueprints that demand an author. I talk about the design of virtually every system in the body. And take the other side of the coin. I'm giving you a long answer to a short question, but I'll go on. The other side of the coin is we are kind of making people more like robots. If you think about it, we have artificial hearts and certainly have pacemakers. We have stimulators for lungs. We have artificial pancreases that we're using. We have implants for corneas and implants for hearing, corneal implant. We have prostheses that are spectacular compared to the wooden legs and the sort many, many years ago. And those are going to progress. We've got systems now where electrodes can be hooked up to patients' brains, certain patients who've already had brain injury, and they can actually have action happen by learning how to think about it. It's very interesting. They can will that paralyzed arm or that prosthetic arm can lift a beer and actually drink the beer. Granted, it doesn't have to be beer, it could be something else. But so we're kind of making cyborgs out of people, and we're making robots into humanoids. That's a short answer. I don't hear you, sorry. Can you hear me? I don't hear you.
Where I was at was I was teasing about how that beer was an extra life and it would give anybody the power of will to pick up a setting.
I can't hear it.
Drink it.
You're cutting out again,